where best friends and next-door neighbors, Willow and Lillian, spill the tea on murder, mysteries, and other things that go bump in the night. So get your favorite teacup ready, and let's get into it. Welcome to Cruelty Podcast. This is Lillian, and with me is Merris.
Hello.
It's Merris Monday.
Oh my God.
I ain't got nothing.
Nothing? What do you mean?
Well, okay. So as you all noticed, there was no Merris Monday last Monday. And that is because I worked myself to death and was exhausted.
Yeah.
Well, this Merris Monday, Merris worked himself to death.
Yeah.
And he's exhausted.
You have to
But I just didn't want to put up nothing again.
work in the morning, and it's like midnight, and I have to work in a couple hours.
Yeah, pretty much. This is such bullshit.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to have, not an episode.
Right.
So, I don't know. We're just going to talk about some weird shit that's happened to us before.
Oh, okay.
I like talking about weird shit that's happened to us before.
Right. Well.
And I feel there's, one big story I've only mentioned, but never really talked about from my life.
Okay. I have no idea what you're talking
My
about.
doorknob issue.
Oh, yeah.
Now everyone's going to hear that and be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Obviously. I want to start it, I don't know how to start this because it was it's literally been a lifelong problem. And I don't know I've looked this up before. Tried looking up on Reddit to see if anybody had a similar spooky experience to this. And the answer is no. And so I just, how do I explain? Okay. No matter where I live or how old I am, most of the doorknobs will fall off in my house. And I have told people this before, and they look at me like, okay. But Merris has seen it happen.
Yes, I have seen your doorknobs fall.
That sounds so sexy.
Yeah, I've seen your doorknobs
Have you seen my
naked.
Yeah, you've seen them nude, my doorknobs.
Whoa.
My knockers, if you will.
Oh, they are your... Yeah.
Very good, honey.
I'm
glad
very slow and tired.
Yes. Well, basically, okay. You're going to think sure, over time, places you live, you use a doorknob a lot, it'll loosen and fall off. That's not what I'm talking about here. So basically what would happen is I'd hear a loud, crunchy, crazy noise in the middle of the night, and I would wake up, and I'd find just the bare-ass doorknob on the ground. No
Your naked
screws.
knobs?
The naked knob.
This is stupid.
Would just be on the ground. No screws. And you're just and it wasn't loose before.
Your screw was loose?
Oh my God. I'm just going to put him in the woods.
I'm here all night.
Please don't be. Okay. But it wouldn't be loose beforehand, and now it's just off and on the ground. And this happened and it happened so bad in the Tulsa house. Merris lived with me there.
I can tell you about your knobs if you would like it. Okay. So okay, when I first moved into your Tulsa house, I did notice that the doorknob to the bathroom was weird, and it was bolted onto the door
with a big brass plate and everything. It's because that knob fell off no less than 8 times, and my grandpa had enough.
There was also underneath the plate kind of big gouges in the wood. Like
a panther clawed it.
Yes, correct.
Not like a little child hand or an adult hand. It was too gouged into the wood.
In addition, the back doorknob never did right.
No,
to the backyard.
And no matter how many times we had people fix it, it just got loose, it was going to fall off, but never quite did.
Well, I tightened that one myself.
And it kept what?
It kept undoing.
Yes.
And I thought that maybe the screw was unthreaded or whatever.
Stripped, right?
Yeah. It was not. It was just a fucky thing.
It was a fucky thing. And then the doorknob to Will's room fell off.
Oh, yeah, that one didn't have that one was completely
because
off.
We just gave up.
Yes.
We're we're going to put a knob on, and it's going to fuck off.
Now, the doorknob to this house, as far as I know, only the front door has been replaced.
Yes.
But the other ones has been fine.
So far.
Not to jinx it.
Not to jinx it. So I want to explain what happened with the doorknob in my bathroom in the Tulsa house.
Yes. The one with the plate.
Yeah, and when I say big brass plate, I don't think you understand. Like huge.
Yes.
And like industrial and bolted into the door.
I can attest to that as a witness, yes.
Here's why. So when my grandfather was alive, he was kind of a handyman fix-it person, and I was calling him like once every couple weeks going like, "Oh, Grandpa, the bathroom doorknob fell off again." And he was just like, after the 8th time, he was just like, "I've had enough." Mm-hmm. He said, "It's them damn kids pulling on the knob." No, my kids didn't do that. They didn't have the strength to do that.
Right.
And so he put in this like industrial strength doorknob with a big brass plate.
Yes.
And to be fair, it never fell off again.
No.
However, about 2 weeks after that, and this is before Merris came to live with me, and I was single momming it, and the kids were at their disgusting, gross, yucky, ugly sperm donor's house.
Wow.
Fuck them. And I was all alone in the home, and that sucked because my house was fucking scary. Merris can attest.
I can also attest that your Tulsa house was scary.
Bad vibes.
Bad vibes.
Would not pass any vibe check.
No.
And so I was asleep, and I kept hearing like walking up and down the hall. And so I got up. I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I lined up a bunch of empty Diet Coke cans across the whole hall. That way, like, I figured whatever ghost or...
There'd be kids to mess that up, right?
No, the kids weren't there.
Oh, that's right. I'm stupid.
I was alone.
Okay. Yeah.
And I just don't know. I just thought, like in Paranormal Activity, when she puts the flour on the floor, I guess that was my thinking. I was really tired. I was probably stoned. Who knows?
Right.
Anyway, about 2 hours later, I hear a crazy monster growl.
Oh, no.
Just like, rah, rah, rah. I don't know how to do it. I'm not a monster.
I like
and like a huge banging noise. And then just one singular Diet Coke can rolled past my door.
Oh, no.
I will tell you, I almost shitteth my pants. It seemed like it just pushed that can just to fuck with me.
Right.
Anyway, when I went and looked, I could not get out of bed. I was like fucking scared to death. I was like, the devil's in the hall. I'm not going out there. Fuck that. That's how I die. So I waited like until morning, until like you can hear the fuck you birds. And a fuck you bird is the first bird you hear after you've spent like the whole night setting up.
Right.
And it's just basically going, Tweedly, fuck you. And so I waited till there were fuck you birds and the sun was coming up. And the bathroom door had these 3 huge gouge scratches on it.
Yes, and that's not just like a Halloween story, although it could be. I did see the gouge marks. Like what I thought when I saw them was that the person who installed it was like doing a bad job or
like
something.
Fucked up with their tool, their drill or something.
Because there's a big brass plate and then the doorknob, and then kind of like at the bottom of the brass plate were big 3 gouge marks, and I thought
Huge.
it was like too much for a dog, like too.
Oh no, like a jungle cat would have had to make it.
But there was a lot wrong with that house, so it's just very low on the list of concerns, you know?
We had a whole house full of adults in their 30s and 40s. Mm-hmm. We turned all the lights off, and we dared each other to see who could stand in my son's room the longest. Because,
the one without any doorknob at all.
Right, because it just had the worst
feeling.
feeling.
Just an empty circle, yeah.
And I think the longest somebody stayed in there was 20 seconds.
I think I was able to stay in there longer, but...
Well, but you're an asshole, so who's not afraid of any... Doesn't afraid
that
of
room
anything.
was the scariest room by far. I don't know why.
We never figured that out.
I mean, there's no... That's the problem with hauntings, is there's no, like, resolution or... You know, I don't know what was wrong with it. We'll never know what was wrong with that house.
I'm going to go through a list of what happened in that fucking house.
Do it.
This is going to be the
episode of the Tulsa house.
Yes, the Tulsa house from hell. I would imagine it's still haunted because so many fucked up things happened there. Uh-huh. I lived there, first of all, 13 years.
Well, do you want to start from the beginning, like how you got the house and the history of the
I
house?
will give the history. Just like a proper haunted house episode, because we've covered haunted houses before. So I was 23. I had just turned 23 and I had just had Will, my oldest son. Uh-huh. And my grandfather thought I should live in a house if I had a baby, and that was very nice of him. It was like
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah, and this was over on the 21st in Yale and Sheridan by the fairgrounds. If you're from the 918, you know where this is. It's a shitty part of town. I mean, kind of. Like, it's not the worst. But it's a little run down. You know what I mean?
1950s house, right?
It was built in 1954.
Okay, it really gives that vibe.
And it was a brick, like, single-story house, 3-bedroom. It was 1,300 square feet. It wasn't tiny, but it wasn't huge.
It was like at a T intersection.
Yes, the street just went directly into my driveway. That's important for later.
Yeah, the fact that it's like at the crossroads of a capital T is very important.
Yes. So I had lived there for about 1 week, and I had Will in his car seat, and I was driving through the neighborhood because I hadn't yet, really. I just kind of wanted to explore my new place, my new neighborhood. Yeah. And I drove by, there was a Salvation Army that backed up to the neighborhood. There was like a shopping center right near the neighborhood.
That's where Casa Bonita was, right?
There was a Casa Bonita next door.
Yeah.
It became a swingers club. Anyway.
There's 2 locations, one in Colorado and one right by your house.
That's right, bitch. And I loved Casa Bonita. Holy shit. I loved it so much. Anyway. As I'm driving by the Salvation Army, and it was the back of it, the coroner's truck is there.
Yeah.
And there were some homeless individuals.
Houseless or whatever.
Unhoused people, yes.
Yeah.
And then there were a bunch of police cars. And I was like, oh, someone's dead.
A cab. What?
It wasn't the police.
Oh.
And so, like, I turned on the news later that night. Yeah, 10-year-old girl who was murdered by a pedophile murderer.
Well, now this is a true crime episode.
Yes, and she was partially cannibalized and stuffed into the incinerator.
Oh, no.
And it was witnessed by those 2 unhoused people.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, there was just not, like, a glowing first week in my new house.
That's bad vibes.
Bad vibes, to say the least. Like, and I'm not going to give the girl's name or anything. I am going to cover that case.
Yeah.
Because, I think he had more than one victim, and he was a potential serial killer for sure.
Yeah.
And lived right in my neighborhood.
Oh, boy.
He lived, like, 2 blocks away.
Cool.
And this, I don't want you to, like, picture this crime-ridden area. It was just a suburban area. There was an elementary school in the neighborhood. And the yards were pretty well manicured. It looked nice.
Right.
But it was just a little, starting to slide down and go a little downhill and get a little rough.
Well, you got to do that impression of that guy. And was it a quiet road?
Oh. Nothing ever happens like this in a little town.
Yeah.
Keith Morrison,
yeah.
And then she died. He does this every time. He's like, it was a gorgeous day in the Poconos. Nothing ever happens in this sleepy little town.
But it was right by the fairgrounds. That really fucking sucked.
Oh, and then it's by the fairgrounds. So that means literally once a year, you can't drive or go anywhere, and a bunch of crazy weirdos are in your neighborhood.
Yes.
Trying to break into your house, stealing
Asking
lighters.
you for lighters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stealing change out of your car.
Yes.
Trying to just walk in.
Yep.
Cool. So you can kind of get it used to be a really kind of swanky place to live and went downhill real bad. Anyway. Right. So a couple weeks go by after the horrible murder of that poor child, and I'm asleep in bed, and I co-slept with Will, my baby, and there was an explode noise. That's like, I don't know how else to like phrase it. It sounded like an enormous bomb had gone off.
Yeah.
The whole house was shaking. I saw crazy smoke in my yard.
Yeah.
When I looked out the window. Of course, Will's screaming because it's terrible and scary.
Yeah.
And I run out into the front yard, and a man had hit my house going about 65 miles per hour.
In his car, yeah. Truck or car?
It was a car. It wasn't much of a car after that.
Yeah.
And the force of him, he'd gone right into my driveway.
Because like you were at the crossroads of a T-shape road, yeah.
And it was a long road, too.
Yeah.
So he had plenty of time to build up speed. He'd fallen asleep at the wheel, and he had like lead-footed the gas. And he had gone right into my garage.
Yep.
Folded the garage like an accordion.
Yep.
The garage door, and my little dog had been in there, and so I thought for sure my dog was dead.
Yeah.
He was not, miraculously. It had knocked bricks off the back of the house.
Yep.
It broke my refrigerator.
Yeah.
And it just scared me to death.
Well, yeah, because half your house is exploded because there's a car in it.
And I will say after that day is when the haunting started.
Yeah.
But I want to be clear, no matter where I live, it's haunted. And I think it just follows me because the doorknob bullshit started.
Yeah.
And it started with the garage door. Like
that doorknob was fucked for sure, you know.
That had been replaced like 6 times.
Yeah.
And so I just assumed, because I started getting kind of panicked.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, not the motherfucking doorknob bandit ghost again.
Yep.
Because it comes with other stuff, which I'll get to.
Yeah.
And, I just rationalized. I was like, your house just got hit by a car.
Yeah.
Of course the doorknob's fucky. Everything is now fucky in this house.
The foundation is done, yeah.
It had to be piered
Yep.
because it got cracked. Obviously, it got hit by a car. Makes sense. But then the doorknob just fell the fuck off.
Yeah.
But I had contractors there working on my house, so they just added that. And they put a doorknob on. 2 days later, the doorknob fell off. And I knew. At that point, I was like, okay, it's back. And so here's what usually happens. Number one, you will hear footsteps. You will hear fucking footsteps.
Shadow people, I'm sure, right?
All night long. Let's talk about the footsteps first, because you
Yeah.
heard that shit too.
I did hear footsteps, but I always rationalized it because there's kids in the house.
We heard them when the kids weren't there.
Yeah, that I do agree.
And you were so fed up, you turned to the door and you just said, oh my God, shut up, no one cares.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And that did stop it for a while.
Because I didn't care.
Because he didn't care, folks. But imagine like you're home alone and you're very young and you have a baby. How vulnerable you feel.
Yeah, of course.
And a car just hit your house. You're married to a giant, like, sentient booger who's mean to you. So your whole life's just kind of, just garbage. And so, I'd hear the footsteps. Now, usually I would hear them between the hours of 3 and 5 a.m. because fucking of course. But, you could hear them anytime. And it especially liked to torment me when I was alone with Will. Sometimes Will would wake up, like, screaming as if somebody had, like, pinched him awake,
You said he's babbled to the darkness. That's not weird.
I will talk about that in a minute, too. So, babbling to the darkness. But what else came with the doorknob ghost is shadow people.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about, like, I have sleep paralysis and there's the shadow people moving around. No, I'm talking about I'm walking from one room to another and I see a silhouette of a person in broad daylight standing in my kitchen.
You look down the hallway and it's doing the peekaboo thing where it peeks out.
We had peekaboo faces all the time in that house.
Yeah.
And all different kinds.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, every time it is so fucking scary. It's just you get a natural, like, animal fear kind of reaction.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You want me to tell you about the growl?
Tell him about the growl, because this goes with the doorknob ghost. Here's the third aspect of what it is.
I moved into your house, the Tulsa house, in, what year was it, 2013?
Yes, it was.
I lived in your Tulsa house with you for only 3 years.
Nightmare, yes.
One of the weirder things that ever happened to me is I moved in and I also had my stuff. So I set up camp. I had a computer desk and a computer set up in the living room, and that's where I was. That's my little camp was in the living room, and it was broad daylight, sitting at my desk. Everything's normal. I am not stoned, just doing my thing at the computer, playing video games or writing. I don't know. And like I said, it was the middle of the day, so it's not like darkness and I'm like sleepy. I wasn't sleepy. I was being normal.
And I was here for this, so I heard it.
A very, very loud, distinct dog-like growl,
But huge,
like a wolf, emanating directly under my desk. And it just was a growl.
Snarling, snappy sound.
And that was it. That's the end of the story. That's it.
And me and Merris looked at each other and we were like, the fuck? And he scooted his chair back and he said, there ain't shit under here.
No, there's not even a crawl space under this house. There's no basement.
Well, I mean, there was a crawl space under the house, but it was like so shitty and small, nothing was under there.
Nothing that could fit a fucking dog. Like you can't fit nothing under there.
You could barely wriggle under there.
Yes.
A dog wouldn't go under there.
No.
It was scary.
But that was it. Like there was nothing in the yard. There was no weird feeling.
We did not have a dog at the time.
Nope. Just what do you call it? When they're discombobulated voice.
Disembodied.
Disembodied growl under my desk, and that was it.
You were discombobulated.
Oh, I
Just
couldn't think
then.
of the word.
Yes. And then, okay, so that's part 3 of what comes with the doorknob ghost is the growling. If you noticed earlier, I said when the door was scratched, there was a horrible monster growl. It sounded much like that.
Yeah.
It was very loud.
It was very dog-like, like a
wolf.
Yes.
Or to me, it sounded almost like a panther, but like it was louder when it was at the
It was
bathroom.
very loud.
It was very loud.
And I was
heard
in
it
right of
distinctly.
mind.
So that's another thing. So the shadow people, when Will was 18 months old, I was alone in the house with Will. It was nighttime. I was asleep. Always worried about him in that room because the room gave me an uneasy feeling.
For sure.
And so I would sleep with my head at the foot of the bed.
Right.
So I could look directly across the hall into his room and see his crib.
Right.
Made me feel better.
Yeah.
And I left the hall light on.
Yeah.
I woke up because I heard Will talking. Like, blah, 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 baby babbling to something.
Yeah.
And I was like really heavily pregnant with my middle child at the time. And there was a man standing over his crib.
Oh, no.
And it had broad shoulders, looked like a trench coat or something like that, a long coat. And then a hat, like a stupid milady.
The Hat Man.
Dick Tracy fedora style hat. It was a mother fudging hat man.
The mother fudging, the
Now,
Benadryl man.
Yeah, I take 40 Benadryl and we have words. I kick his ass.
Right.
And he owes me money. Anyway, no, like normally when I see scary thing, my reaction is fuck, and I try and get away. But that's my baby in there.
Right.
And so I flew up out of that bed like a crazy person. I was making the monster noises, and I was just hollering, like just making the crazy holler, just you know. And the Hat Man like turned around, kind of like, huh, like startled, and then vanished before I could get my hands around his throat.
Dang, you were gonna go. You were gonna go for the throat.
I was gonna fuck up a ghost.
Yeah,
I will. I'll fight a ghost. I don't give a shit. Anyway. Will was like, Mama, you know, and let me tell you something about Will.
Yeah.
The child, the minute the first word came out, it was nonstop, like vomit of words constantly that never ended.
Yes,
Still
that's
hasn't.
true. Yeah.
Will was very talkative at 18 to 20 months old. And I asked Will, I said, Will, who was that? Who were you talking to? And Will said, the Dark Man.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, no.
And I said, don't you ever talk to that motherfucker again.
Yeah.
And I probably said motherfucker to a toddler. I don't give a shit.
Right.
Yeah. And Will, I wasn't scared. Will was happy, but that's the only time I saw the Hat Man in that house. Did I see shadow people after that? Literally like several times a week.
Right. Well, the other thing you never mentioned is you never liked the backyard.
Let me tell you something about that motherfucking backyard. I have good evidence, like real life reasons to hate it. First of all, imagine a really big backyard, chain link fence.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in it.
No
there's
trees,
not one tree.
No shrub.
No shrub.
Just a square.
Just a sad square of grass.
With chain link fence every round, and everyone around you has the same square.
But it's a big square. It was a big backyard.
You had a bigger square than others, yeah.
Yes. For whatever reason, looking out into the backyard at night gave me the worst, like, tummy ache, sinking, dread, pukey bar feeling I've ever had in my life.
Right.
And so I would walk by it and go, we don't look into the darkened backyard. And the kids, like, copied me. It was like a little game. And we've got blackout curtains for the kitchen window so we wouldn't have to look. And the kids got curtains so they wouldn't have to look.
Yeah.
But then we started seeing stuff back there.
Ugh.
Val was first. Val saw a white, totally white, not like a white person, but like the color white face, like a mask in the window several times.
Scary.
Well, just floating, disembodied, eyeless face.
Don't like that. No.
Hate that. And then, of course, look, I dated a lot of real fucked up weirdos. Okay? This story is not about ghosts, but it is scary.
Okay, go ahead.
So, Merris isn't the only dude that I met on World of Warcraft because I was a big World of Warcraft slut. Wow. Let's just be honest. I just wanted to get laid. I didn't want to date. And, I was RPing elves. It was a good time. So this one guy, he was from Arizona, and he was like, I will come down and see you, and we will bang. And I was like, indeed, sounds excellent. So I await his arrival. I assumed he was, taking a plane or a bus. No. He had come on a dirt bike that only went 35 miles an hour.
Okay.
And before he left, he was getting evicted, which I did not know. He took apart his computer and duct taped it to his chest. Like its innards.
Very sus.
There's a lot of things about this that are wrong. Well, anyway, he got hit by a car, kind of, and got flung down a hill. And I bought him a bus ticket to Tulsa because I just felt so bad.
Okay.
And I was talking...
Mistakes were made.
Many. But I was talking to him on the phone and I just could not figure out what happened. Like I couldn't hear him very well. And he was like in a lot of pain.
Oh, me too.
And so I was just like, whatever, I'll just get you a bus ticket. And back then I think it was like $35, $40. It wasn't that bad.
This was
I picked him up at the bus station. Oh, this was like 15, 16 years ago, maybe even longer. I pick him up at the bus station. First of all, he's cute as shit. So that was true.
Okay.
And he was like, I just need to get a hotel room. I'm so banged up. And so I took him to a hotel. And before we could have a proper conversation, I'm a whore. We just had like really fun sex with his computer still duct taped to him.
These are decisions you've made.
Look, I know that. He was very cute. And once the sex was over, I was like, okay, I just got to ask. I'm like, what is that, a bomb? Like, what is all this stuff on you?
You did it with a bomb on. You didn't even know if it was a bomb or not.
I didn't think it was a bomb.
Oh my God.
It looked too stupid to be a bomb. Anyway,
Lord help me.
He was like, oh, it's my computer. It's the insides of it. And I'm like, cool, why? And he was like, oh, I got evicted and this is the only thing that meant anything to me.
There's
and then I started finding out some terrible things.
Red flag.
Oh, it was a sea of red flags. I found out that he just thought he was going to move in. And I was like, sir, the dick was not that good. And he brought like some of his stuff, like his clothes and his
He didn't have a lot of stuff, so that's a plus.
No, and he had it in like a big duffel bag. And he was like, can I leave my computer parts in your house? And so I was like, yeah, fine. And so I drove it over there. And he was like, I'm going to stay here. And I was like, the fuck you're not. I said, I don't know you. I just wanted to bang you. It's done. You have to go home. He's like, well, I'm homeless. And I'm like, well, it's not my fucking problem.
Yeah.
And I said, get out. Get out. And so out he went.
Right.
But he did not leave.
He did not out.
No. So I had a roommate at the time. I had a German witch living in my garage who collected hair.
She did collect hair. I seen the hair bag.
Dildos.
There was a very heavy bag of dildos.
I've never seen like a lot of dildos.
Story.
I know. Anyway, she was older than me and mean and evil, probably, and collected hair. Whose hair? I don't know.
Could have been our hair.
Everyone's hair? Yeah. Likely. Did she have a bunch of weird Satan-y stuff in there? Absolutely.
Yes.
So I'm sitting in the garage with her, and look, don't think this was a garage apartment.
No.
No, this is just a fucking garage with a window unit
with a mattress in it.
A dirty mattress.
I've lost the thread of the story.
No, I'm cool. Okay, and so I'm sitting in there, and we're smoking hand-rolled cigarettes, probably with her hair in them. There's hair everywhere. And I hear a noise. It's a frying chicken noise. It's a noise you know the minute you hear it. It's a pee-pee sound.
Right.
Somebody's taking a pee-pee on my fucking house.
Outside the house.
You can hear it.
Outside the garage.
Yes. Yeah. And I said, somebody's pissing on the house. And the German roommate went, kill them? And I said, we shall kill them. And so I took a tire iron, and she had like a Stanley baseball bat, like the metal one, the aluminum one. And we come out, and that's scary.
Right.
We're both scary bitches. She's a way scarier bitch. She's a nightmare hag.
That's true. She was.
And we come around the corner. There is that motherfucker. And he is wee-weeing upon my home.
The guy with the computer parts.
That's him.
Yeah.
And I went, why are you peeing on my house? And he said, well, I had to go. And to that I said, well, fair. I asked that stupid fucking question. And the scary German roommate said, kill him? And I said, well, wait a minute. And I said, well, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, I didn't have anywhere to go. So I've been staying in your backyard for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I called the police.
Yeah.
Yeah. They took him away.
Yep.
He ended up in a mental health hospital for a very long time.
As he should be.
Indeed. But you want to know the cool thing?
Huh.
I kept all his computer innards.
Yes.
And when you came to live with me, that was the computer I used and you eventually used.
It was the circle of life.
Indeed. It finally died, but it had a really good run.
If computers could have souls, that one did.
Indeed. R.I.P.
Yeah.
He rode through the desert on a dirt bike with no name.
Yes.
Yes, that's that guy.
Yeah.
So, cursed. That whole thing was cursed.
The whole house was cursed.
The whole thing was just every experience I had was stupid and weird and bad.
Yes.
Other things that happened in that house was so we had a roommate named Maddie, and she was fine. She was in the garage. Because that's where we put our roommates.
Yeah.
Not in an apartment in the garage. In the fucking garage.
Just the actual
like a
garage.
car.
Yes.
Okay? And so she came out of the garage. She looked at me with the deadest of eyes, and I was like, hey, Maddie. She didn't say anything and went to the bathroom. And I thought, weird, but not out of character for her.
As that was the only bathroom in the house.
Yeah, and it wasn't weird for her to be weird. She was weird.
Well, yes, but there was only one way.
Yeah. I was talking about the stopping and staring being
Yes.
weird and not saying anything.
Yeah.
But she went into the bathroom, and then about 3 seconds later, Maddie walked out of the garage into the living room and went, hey, Lillian. And I was like, wait, what? So I saw her doppelganger.
Because she went the same direction twice. She didn't go
Yes.
back.
No.
She just came out twice, but
Yes.
never. Yeah.
And was scary, weird the first time, and friendly the second time.
I think I've told you my ghost story, haven't I?
Yeah, tell it again, though, because it's a good one.
Okay, this was also at the freaking Tulsa house. This was very shortly after I moved in. And I was walking from the front door, and I was going into our room. And that room has a really two big bay windows with a small space in between the windows.
Yes. Picture windows, not bay
Picture windows. Okay. And standing in between the picture windows was a person in a suit. And as my eyes were trailing upwards to look at the person's face, they were gone. So I just saw their legs and stomach and torso, and it was a person wearing what I think was like a gray suit with a red tie.
Which is what my grandfather was buried in.
Yep, and I told you, I was like, I saw a dude, but he wasn't there.
Your first ghost you
Yeah,
saw.
my first and only. I've only ever really seen that. I think that's the only apparition.
We've seen other weird shit, but I wouldn't
Yes.
call it a ghost.
That was a ghost because he was kind of see-through.
Shortly after that, I had a dream about my grandfather.
Uh-huh.
That he came to the door, knocked on the door, I answered, and he said, hey, sister, like he used to say. I was like, Grandpa, I was like, you're alive. I just was like so happy. I was hugging him. I was crying. And he's like, now. He's like, looky there. He said, look at them bunny rabbits under your car. He said, you better go get them. And I woke up, and I was like, what a stupid fucking dream. What does that mean? And then what happened, Merris?
Well, I walked outside that morning, and there were two literal rabbits under the car, but they weren't wild rabbits.
They were domestic bunny pets.
Because they had the lop-eared, and I was able to capture them, and we had them for a while.
And we kept them until they passed away from old age.
Yeah, because they were older rabbits, but yeah, I got a hutch and everything.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck does that mean?
I don't know, but I there were literal two rabbits.
Well, I was psychic about rabbits.
Uh-huh.
I don't understand. And they were in the dream, they were the same coloration as the ones that were in our yard.
There was a lop-eared brown one, and I think the other one passed away sooner.
It was white and brown spots.
Like piebald, yeah.
Yeah, it was really pretty. But here's a weird part to this story, and I don't think I'm not even sure I ever told you, actually, because I'm just now kind of remembering it.
Yeah.
So back when my grandpa was talking about buying this hellhole house,
Yeah.
that sits on a hell mouth, clearly.
Right.
Like it's a portal to hell or something, I don't know.
Yeah, too many weird things, yeah.
Too many. He told me where it was and gave me the address, and he's like, maybe you stop by and look at it. And so, like a little weirdo, I drove by there like literally 3 or 4 times a day, just desperate to be in a house and not an apartment. I was so excited to have my first house,
Yeah.
But one night, I saw 2 rabbits jumping around, like by the entrance to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they were clearly pet rabbits because one of them was white with brown spots and they had lop ears.
Yeah.
And I just know those were the same rabbits. And so by the time we got them, they were like 11 years old.
Yeah, they didn't take to be. I don't know if they liked being in the cage or not. Or
They did not
I had
care
a big
for
hutch.
it. We tried our best, but they
Yeah.
were fucked up. Yeah, but that's the weird rabbit story. I don't know what that had to do with anything.
I didn't have a hard time catching them.
No, they were pretty tame.
Yeah.
They let you pet them and hold them
Yeah.
and stuff. And then the alien shit. Because look, this house is fucked in every way.
Right.
So you could see pretty much, like, if the Tulsa State Fair was going on and you sat in my backyard, you could see, like, the rides and stuff, like the
Right.
lights from the rides. Over by the fairgrounds, and the fair wasn't going on, we started seeing a red ball of light that would just zip around all over the sky.
Yeah, I've seen. There was also like white lights too that just. And it was near enough to the airport too that I knew which ones are planes and which ones aren't.
Yeah.
Because they were able to zigzag and do things like that, but they were just sort of white balls in the sky sometimes.
Yeah, and then you and Will saw the green ones.
Yes.
Okay, talk about that.
Well, I was outside for a minute, as I often am, and Will was with me, and we both started seeing along the horizon. These ones weren't greens. These were the white ones.
Oh, these are the white ones. Okay.
And they were just three of them, just sort of acting all crazy along the horizon, just moving around, zigzagging, and we stood out there for at least 15 to 20 minutes watching until they went away.
Yeah, this is the same house we heard the weird hum at night.
Yes.
And we went driving looking for it.
Yeah, there's just so much going on in this house. Like it's just,
yes.
Yeah.
Most people who lived there didn't come out okay mentally.
No.
Or the people in the area.
The mailman.
Okay, next door to me was a really cool guy. He was a mailman, has a job, and he was a gay guy, and he was super nice, super friendly. Mm-hmm. And then one day he got in a horrible car accident. And after that, he was never the same. Like, he would walk around his yard with bandages on his head. I'm assuming that was from the car accident.
Right.
But then he started, like, hoarding dogs in his garage and filled his house with plants.
Yeah, I remember he opened up his door and I just sort of peeked in as I was, like, we were driving by or whatever. And it looked like a jungle in there. Like, it was just
you couldn't walk
covered
for
in
all the
plants.
plants.
Yeah.
They were healthy.
Yep.
But he never let the dogs out of the garage, so
Nope.
they just shit everywhere.
Yep.
And then he made weird comments at the children.
Yeah.
Great.
We didn't let him...
Then the neighbors right on the other side of me were just college guys that never mowed the yard, were drunk and high all the time, like to the point where it wasn't just weed, clearly.
Yeah.
And they just drew dicks on all the windows.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Got my house infested with mice because they never mowed their yard. Loved
Right.
that for me.
Yeah.
But the weirdest and most horrible thing that happened was across the street.
Okay, yeah.
And weirdness happened there twice.
Yeah.
The first time it was a man, his wife, and their young infant son. And he was a very happy dude. He was very friendly. Like if I was outside getting the mail, he'd be like, hello, neighbor type of deal. He loved his yard. He was like obsessive about it. And then one day I just never saw the wife anymore. So I assumed they got divorced.
Yeah.
He would do real nutty ball stuff after that, like have a miner's hat on and a pair of little scissors at night, trimming his yard that way.
Yep.
And then he made a snow fort for just himself.
Sounds fun.
Fun. At 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Then we had the horrific Tulsa ice storm.
Yeah.
And what was this, 2008? 2000? Yeah, it was 2008. Or 2007, one of those, I don't know. Anyway, I didn't have power for like 6 weeks. I was in a hotel. That guy's tree fell across the whole street. He had a big, huge, like 200-foot tall tree, and it just fell across the whole street.
Yeah.
So he was out there with the equivalent of like a fillet knife, like a little electric hand saw, going at that tree.
No.
And I went, what are you doing? He said, leave me the fuck alone. And so I was like, ooh, we're crazy. Okay. And then that summer,
yeah,
we didn't see him again. Because he killed himself in the house.
Oh, good.
And then shortly after that, a family moved in, a single dad and his 2 kids.
Yeah.
And one of them had a wizard staff and did acrobatics in the yard. Thus, we named him the Wizard.
Yeah.
And then there was a daughter who was very nice.
Yes.
But that was all crazy, too.
Yeah.
And I won't get into it too much, but like everybody there was not well.
Yeah.
It was a cursed fucking place. The
Memories.
whole neighborhood. Because then we would have the weird things where the fucking cop cars would just sit at the stop sign right in front of our house.
Yes.
For 30 minutes.
Yep. And
We've talked about that.
Yeah.
So I just have any of y'all lived in a haunted house?
Or something that was equally as crazy.
I just felt like it was more than haunted. It was just weird house, just weird time.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not even going into all the stories. I have like 20 more. Like, there's just so many things happened.
Nobody would believe us, you know.
I'm just saying the most believable ones because there was more unbelievable ones than that.
For sure, yeah.
And I just am glad that house isn't mine anymore.
Yeah, yep.
Because it was just like, you know, the end of Poltergeist where the like house gets sucked into the vortex?
That's what it felt like.
When we left, did that not have the weirdest vibe ever
Well,
when we were
first of all,
leaving?
the house sold in 3 days.
3 days.
Literally.
For over asking.
Yeah.
And nobody was arguing over it. The guy just was going to pay more for some reason. I was like, okay.
Well, he was like a house flipper or something. So
I don't know,
whatever.
but the realtor even thought it was weird that he offered more for no reason.
But take
We
the
took it
cursed
and
house.
we ran.
We did.
But like, and the house should not have passed inspection.
No.
There was, when the bathtub drained, it drained into the ground. There was no pipe. It just went into the ground.
Well, it's not our
If
problem
you
now.
banged on the wall that faced the garage, sometimes smoke come out of it. We don't know where that was from. Half the electric didn't work in the kitchen.
No, it didn't work in the
But
kitchen.
the
or
day
other
the
bathroom.
inspector was there, everything worked.
Yep. It was cool.
That part was cool, but scary. But then I'll never forget, as we're like piling our shit into the fucking moving
U-Haul,
van,
Yeah.
I just had the weirdest vibe. Like the house was pissed we were leaving. Like,
We
get
were-
back in
we-
here.
We were like,
you know?
let's get out of here.
And would not look back.
We did not.
No, we did not. Every once in a while, I'll go look at that house on Zillow, and it's still, the backyard makes my stomach hurt.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to post a picture of my backyard with this, my former backyard,
Yeah.
so you guys can see it. And I might do like a Google Street View just to see if you get the vibe from the pictures.
Yeah.
What a scary fucking place. And if you're in Tulsa, if you live in the 918 or in like Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, or Quita or something, and you want to drive by there, I will totally give you the address. Don't bother the people that live there, but you can drive by and see what a fucked up place it is.
Yeah.
And if you do, send me pictures. Yeah. Send me pictures. Anyway, that's it for this nonsense. I just wanted to talk about this house, and I wanted to do a haunted house episode anyway.
Well, it was our house.
And I lived in one.
Yeah.
You know, and always people want a story like, who killed themselves there? No, nobody. No one died in that house.
Just some dreams.
Just some dreams.
Yeah.
Oh, God, the guy peed on my house. Fucked him. What a horrible mistake. Okay. You know what's not a mistake?
What is it?
Business time.
Business time.
So you guys, I've got so many notes finished for Patreon cases. I am doing the Waco disaster, the Waco massacre. I'm doing Ruby Ridge, and I will be doing the Columbine shooting for all the notorious 90s. Now, like, all these things are connected, like especially with the Oklahoma City bombing, which I covered last week. So if you guys want to get in on that, I just covered Kurt Cobain. We just have a lot of really good episodes. I think we have over 200, close to 300 episodes on Patreon. So it's almost like doubling your fun, you know? I think at this point it's over 300. So you're almost doubling like how many episodes we have out, and you'll be able to binge for weeks.
Yeah.
And in order to do all that, it's just the $5 tier. It gets you all that stuff.
Yeah.
Merris,
What?
I hear you have a podcast. What?
It's Welcome to Reality with your host, me, Merris.
Reality is the name of it.
Reality? I don't know if I messed that up. My phlegm is really phlegmy right now.
I was helping you because you sounded crazy.
Whoops. You can have awesome content like that on my podcast starring me, Merris,
And what?
and my wife, Lillian, over there.
I'm over here.
Yeah.
Basically, we just talk about reality television shows that Merris forces me to watch.
Yeah.
And they're all terrible. We're covering Sister Wife right
Just
now.
the last one standing.
There's only one, Wifelander.
Yeah,
it's
Wifelander.
Robin. Of course it is.
Ugh.
You know, like
Robin in her throat.
4 wives in her, 1 wife leave.
Yeah, she ate them all.
She did. That's why her head's so square.
Yeah.
And she's so smug.
Yeah.
So join us for that nonsense. It's fun. If you enjoy our content and would like to send us cheeseburger money, we would appreciate that. We like cheeseburgers.
Yeah, give it to me.
Or me.
Me also.
Also, if you're listening on YouTube, like and subscribe and notification thing. Whatever button you push that you can, besides the thumbs down or the mean comment button, you push that. Okay?
Yeah.
And also, it is illegal to be mean to me. It is literally against the law.
Yeah.
It's going to be in the Constitution soon.
Right. They put it in there. Thanks, Joe Biden.
Thanks, Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Super cool. Hey, Merris, what happens if you're mean to me? What's the consequences?
Well, they get cursed. Actually, there's a curse.
That's true.
Yeah,
there is.
And the curse turns you inside out by your belly button through your butthole. It's really scary.
Sounds bad.
Yeah.
I just advise being nice to me only, because if you don't, I will cry.
Yeah.
And that's fucked up and mean because I am very small on the inside.
It's true.
Leave me alone unless it's a compliment.
Yeah.
I'm fragile.
Right.
Okay. What else do I got? Hey, check out our link tree. Discord's on there. You can join our Discord and come say hello to me, and I will probably say hello back unless I'm currently being crazy.
Right.
Which I was all last week, but I'm fine now. Then we have, what do we have? Merchandise with our shit on it.
Right.
And it's really good quality stuff. It's hoodie season. Get you a hoodie. Get you a mug. I'm sure you have a family member who listens to this podcast because you're a good listener and you referred your family
That's right.
to listen to the podcast. So you should get them some merch because now it's their favorite podcast.
Correct.
Because you told them about it.
Exactly.
It would make a good Christmas gift.
Yeah.
But if all you can do to support this podcast is listen, hey, thank you. It's for you. And I love you in a weird, gross, parasocial way that's uncomfortable and inappropriate.
Yeah, in a sexual way.
Why are you doing that?
I did it. I went over the line.
Well, I've got to go now.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Us on your social media platform of choice. Linktree/Cruelty has all of the links. Check out our Patreon for exclusive episodes, merch, ad-free episodes, live ghost hunts, and much more. Please be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded weekly. Thank you so much. See you next time. Music and production by Libby.